Good day, all. Welcome to week 9 of PMGT1865, the project cost, time, and resources goals. Today, we are going to focus on project procurement planning. I'm Dr. Kumar Morgan, and together with Dr. Jin, we will guide you through this very important topic. Procurement is a classic and critical component of project management processes, as most projects requires us to source some goods or services or some of the expertise that we need that we probably won't have in our organization from outside the organization. So we need to procure something with these specific skills, which we may not have in our organization. So we need to somehow procure it. So how would we procure? What are the steps involved in it? That's what talks about in project procurement process. So over the next 30-40 minutes, we will unpack what procurement means, why is it important, and how to plan, and the legal and contractual consideration. And those are the things that you must keep in mind when you're undertaking procurement process. Let's get into the course now, and we'll see what we could. Alrighty, here's the learning outcomes. By the end of this session, you should be able to understand the basis of procurement, understand the essential elements of a contract, and probably develop a procurement plan. So these are three main outcomes built on one another. First, we'll clarify what procurement processes is and how it works. Then we will explore what makes a contract legally binding, and finally, we translate that into a practical planning steps you can use in your project. Now you're looking at the project, the course schedule overview of the PMGT 1865. In week 1, we did the introduction. Week 2, we followed up with WBS and program schedule or project schedule. Week 4, we talked about the overlapping network, the complex thing, finish, finish, start, start, and start, finish, and finish, start. And week 4, we continued with the PERT model, the program evaluation and review technique. And in week 5, we did the resource planning, what are the organization breakdown structure and stuff like that. Week 6 did the quiz, and week 7 we did the cost management, and last week we had project planning using MS Project. And week 9, today we are focusing on project procurement. Here's a short video on procurement. I'll leave it to you to have a look. There are thousands of videos and articles in internet and probably in YouTube. Feel free to explore more and learn more from the outside class. Come back if you have any questions or if you want to clarify more. Come back to the class with more questions and for further discussion and clarification. Okay, let's see what is procurement. Procurement is simply the act of obtaining or purchasing goods or services. In project context, procurement is strategic. It's about acquiring the right products and services to deliver project scopes successfully. So, project procurement management, as defined by PMBOK guide, includes the processes required to acquire products or services or expertise from outside the performing organization. So, this might mean hiring subcontractors, purchasing some equipments, or engaging any specialist consultant. And procurement allows us to reduce cost by taking advantage of competitive markets and lets us use leverage external expertise that our project teams may not have internally within the organization. So the key is to do this in a structured and legally sound way so that the risk can be minimized and value can be maximized. Project procurement management. So what is it defined as? So according to PMBOK, project management or project procurement management includes processes required to acquire products and services to attain a specific project scope, right, from outside the organization. It includes the management of contracts and controlling the procurement relationship. So basically, it looks at the certain portion of a project, which is can be contractually procured and performed by a team of staff or some products which are working for another organization. So why do we do it? It's basically to reduce cost and enhance value and leverage skills and knowledge from that's not available or do not have to keep it in our own organization, so that we can procure from other organization, external organization. Let's break down this bit into a further classification. Project procurement management involves all the work that is contractually performed by external organizations. So, in other words, this is the buy part of the project. So, you can classify the procurement process as make, buy, or having your own team. So buy part is, you can think of a project as having three types: make, team, and buy. Make refers to work we do in-house, so that's internally done with our own internal employee. So team refers to formal partnership or a joint venture, two or more organizations collaborating legally to deliver certain part of the project. And finally, the buy refers to outsourcing specific goods or services. Each of these choices, make, team, and buy, as cost, schedule, and risk implication. They have different types of risk, different type of schedule or cost, and a good project manager must evaluate these options very carefully and see how we can provide more value for money for completing the project scope. So a make, team, buy plan helps us to decide which approach is most appropriate for each element of the project. For example, you might decide to make software in-house because you have the skills and want to retain intellectual property. But you might buy cloud hosting services because it's much cheaper and faster, and building your own data center. Or you might form a teaming agreement with another company that has complementary expertise, such as engineering design or certain specific expertise. So documenting these decisions early prevents confusion and ensure that procurement planning is aligned with the strategic objective. This is pretty much your how your make, team, buy plan looks like. So in certain cases, so if you want to develop a plan, so from your work breakdown structure, all starts with your work breakdown structure. You define your work packages and see which one you want to make within your organization with your own staff, or which one you want to buy, and which one you want to team up with the external organization that can deliver through that development of certain work packages. So that can be done through joint venture, partnership, or alliance contract. So this is how you look at, as a project manager, you look at different work packages or deliverables, what you can do in a house and what you can do from external organization or what you can buy. So you put that into your project schedule and get your fundings approval for that before you make a decision on it. So let's see some example of procurement strategies here. So either you can design and build, or there are five things we have given. One is design and build, one is design, build, and operate, one is management contracting, one is partnership and joint venture. So each are defined in a different way. So depends on what is your organization intent is in completing a project. So are you going to design entirely by your own organization? You're going to build everything by your organization, or you're going to subcontracting to other organization. So how do you want to have operate your project, and what are the management contract? A contract basically is the provision of management services to deliver a certain specified outcome. So are you going to tell them these are the work packages which is going to achieve a certain outcomes? Are you going to do as a contracting, or are you going to work as a partnership? So they will do, you guys will be doing in a project 80% of it, the remaining 20% will be done through partnership. So in defense organization, we know most of the things we have in-house, and we also work with other multiple partnership, so that everyone has their own expertise to bring in and then consolidate. So main part of partnership, joint venture, and management contracting is all about documenting who's going to do what is the specification that needs to be delivered by each partner. So those are the things you need to work on. So there's a lot of involvement and a lot of research that you need to work on to delivering or developing the documents, and or basically the contract, what needs to go in. Those are the things you need to look onto it as a project manager. So let's see what are the project management process. I think this is based on PMBOK 6, the project management body of knowledge version 6. The procurement process has four different stages. One is plan, procurement, conduct, procurement, administer, and close. So the procurement management process starts with planning procurement, which is nothing but deciding what needs to be bought, when, and how. It then involves conducting the procurement, which means preparing requests for proposal, evaluating the bids, and awarding the contracts. After that, we administer procurement and manage supplier performance and handling changes. Finally, we look onto the closure of the procurement by settling accounts and capturing lessons learned. Each of these steps is quite important. Skipping one can result in a legal exposure or project failure. Okay, now look at planning procurement, the first stage of the project procurement processes. Planning procurement is nothing but a step that determines all the products, services, and results that must be procured from outside the organization or supplied from an external entity. It is often a collaborative process involving the project manager, procurement specialist, and probably sometimes you have to involve legal teams and finance teams as well. We will develop a procurement plan that specifies the methods of procurement, timing, estimated cost, and who's going to do what, probably the responsible parties for delivering the work packages or a certain part of that project. And because procurement can involve contracts, there are definitely legal ramifications. So proper planning is not optional, it is very much essential. So what is the purpose of doing the planning? It's to determine what to procure, how to procure it, when to procure it, and who is going to deliver it. So what are the key activities? Identify which project needs requiring external sourcing. You have to decide whether it's buy or make decision, and define procurement requirements such as goods, services, and any results. Got to develop your or document your procurement strategy. Is it a contract type, or is it a fixed price, or is it cost reimbursable, or time and material type of contract? So what strategies is that? And then the fourth point is about preparing procurement document like the request for proposal, request for quotation, and you got to develop your statement of work as well. So a lot of times statement of work is a crucial thing. A lot of time we do not know what we need to procure. So we got to be very careful on defining the statement of work. And the fifth part is about developing procurement management plan that defines how procurement will be managed throughout the project. Probably the next slide we'll discuss more on that. So the output will be your procurement management plan, your procurement strategy, your bid documents, your source selection criteria, and pretty much your make or buy decision. So what does the procurement plan and schedule look like? A procurement plan or the procurement schedule provides a detailed roadmap. For each item to be procured, it specifies when it is needed, the procurement method, for example, if it's an open tender or limited tender or direct purchase. So in the budgeted cost and who's accountable for managing it is also defined. So if procurement is a major part of the project, in defense that's the case, we may produce a standalone procurement plan. For smaller projects, a procurement schedule can simply be appended to the overall project management plan. So in the slides, you probably will see the table which defines what are the goods or services that needs to be provided. You need to define that. What is the budgeted cost? What date it's going to be delivered, your project schedule, and who's going to be responsible for delivering. What is the method of procurement, which is your procurement strategy, and your contract, your suppliers, and so on. Okay, once you've done your planning part, you need to conduct the procurement. So this involves preparing requests for proposals or tenders, communicating with potential suppliers, evaluating their submissions, and awarding contracts. You usually typically establish a tender evaluation team to undertake all those activities. This step is often supported by dedicated procurement department and which called as tender evaluation team, and can be quite formal, especially in government projects and defense projects where probity and transparency are legally required. This is where the plan is put into action. So accuracy and fairness are the key. What is the purpose of doing or conducting the procurement is to obtain seller response, select the seller and award a contract. So what are the key activities? You look onto the advertise opportunity or invite qualified vendors. You obtain proposal, codes or bids and evaluate their responses using predefined criteria. You probably will also be sitting with the vendors to negotiate. It could be price, scope or schedule or any other risk. And you probably will identify, evaluate, analyze and select your supplier and probably have a contract. So the output pretty much is your selected sellers or agreement and contract and updates to your project documents. So the next part is the key input of procurement is the procurement statement of work as I defined before. It's a statement of work or scope of supply. This document clearly defines what you're buying. So it may include objectives, inclusion and exclusions, required quantities, performance levels, work location constraints such as your budget or deadline constraint, and a well-written statement of work reduce ambiguity and dispute later. So it's very important that your statement of work is defined. It needs to include what you need to be procured or what the contractors needs to be delivered and what is not as well. And it also helps suppliers price their proposal accurately, which leads to better value for money. Now we look on to the contract management. What are the essential part of contract management? Contracts are legally binding agreements between two or more parties. There are several essential elements that make a contract enforceable. First, there must be an offer and acceptance. Second, there must be consideration, something like of value exchange, typical goods or services for money. And the third one is about both parties must intend to create a legally binding agreement. The fourth aspect is both parties must be legal capacity. They must not be minors, mentally incapability or legally barred. The fifth is about the object of contract must be legal. You cannot contract for illegal activities. And finally, there must be consent. Neither party should be coerced or misled into agreement. Understanding these elements is critical because if any one of them is missing, the contract may be unenforceable. So what are the types of contracts we have? There are three main types of contract. So one is fixed price, one is cost plus, and one is time and material. Fixed price contracts specify a total price of for a well-defined product or services. These are goods when scope is clear and risk is low. That's pretty much easier. Cost plus is about contract reimburse the sellers for cost plus a fee. So these are used when scope is uncertain, but work needs to be proceeded. And time and material is pretty much a hybrid kind of version. So they pay for the time that an agreed rate or contractor has been used for the project plus materials used. And each type of contract shift risk differently between buyers and seller. For example, if you're looking at a fixed price shift, cost risk to the supplier. So while cost plus shift more risk to the buyer. Choosing the right contract, so as a project manager, is a very important part of project procurement strategy. So best, when this big fixed price is used, the fixed price is used when the scope is known and clear, and when the uncertainty of the scope is pretty much not clear, you use cost and time and material. Now let's look on to the third and fourth stage, which is administer and close procurement. Once a contract is awarded, we must administer it. This means monitoring performance, managing changes, and ensuring deliverables are met. At the end of, we close a procurement by settling accounts, confirming all obligations have been met, and preserving records for any future audit purposes. We also capture lessons learned so that future project can benefit from what we have discovered. And what is the purpose of doing this? It's about managing procurement relationship, monitor contract performance, and making changes as needed. The key activities include is ensuring sellers deliver according to the contract requirement. What has been defined in the contract requirement, the contractor has delivered it. Approve invoices and any payments, manage performance issues and dispute that might arise, administer the changes and contract modification, and pretty much document your lessons learned. So as an output, what we have is you close the procurement, you have prepare your work performance information, procurement documentation updates, and then you sign a contract on behalf of your organization. You are legally binding, and so intelligence stuff thing. Now look on to the the legal aspect of procurement law. Uh, Whenever you engage the suppliers on behalf of your organization, you act as a very much legal agent of that organization. Procurement law governs how tenders and contractors are managed, particularly in public sector. There are few golden rules. Sticks to published evaluation criteria. Do not over-specify any requirements. Do not change your requirement once it's been confirmed to the point that you exclude potential better solution and maintain probity, ethics, and transparency at all times. And violating these principle can lead to pretty much a lot of legal challenges and reputational damages as well. Okay. So far we have seen what the basics of project procurement management. Let's see a couple of case studies. Here's one of the real example, which is your Sydney Water case study. Sydney Water manages capital projects through, which means they are the one who's managing your water supply in Sydney and the Greater Sydney region and the Illawarra region. Sydney Water manages capital works project through a model called P4S, which they call it like partnering for success. Sydney Waters is Australia's largest water and wastewater service provider, owned by the NSW government. Sydney Water, they supply water, wastewater treatment, recycled water, and stormwater services to more than 5 million people in Sydney, the Illawarra region, and the Blue Mountains region as well. With population expected to increase probably like 2.7 to 3 million by 2036, significant new infrastructure is needed. Assets currently include 243 reservoirs, 16 wastewater treatment plant, and probably like 830 or so pumping station, and 22 to 25,000 kilometer of water mains, and 25,000 kilometer of sewers. So how would Sydney Water manages these through the procurement process? Sydney Water identified a need to undertake an enterprise-wide view of this supply chain and conceived and implemented the Partnering for Success program, which is a supply initiative, which is the biggest transformation program any water utility in Australia probably has undertaken. The P4S, the Partnering for Success program, was designed to help Sydney Water simplify the procurement, optimize value throughout the supply chain, and better outcomes for the customer. It's pretty much have got out of a concept called NEC4, which is nothing but a new engineering contract, which is kind of an old methodology or process, which was started sometime in 1980s. It is a contracts for its new collaborative enterprise model for delivering up to 4 billion of construction work and services between 2020 and 2030. It is the country's first major infrastructure provider to use NEC method as its standard procurement route. So notably, Sydney Water is one of the first Australian organization to adopt principles of NEC contract, which promote collaboration, collective risk sharing with the supplier chain partners. So let's see a little bit about it. So what is it? Any C4 contract or design around the three principles. They stimulate good management of relationships. So we are talking about the procurement management with the third party or external entity. So what is this NEC4 contract is about to do or benefit? The Sydney Water is they stimulate good management of relationship between two parties or more parties to the contract, and therefore of the work involved in the contract. So it helps, or they can be used in diverse range of commercial situation for a wide variety of type of work and in any location around the world. So they are clear and simple and written in plain English. You can use it as a structured way, which is straightforward and easily understood. Called the P4S, the new NEC4 model involved replacing its traditional and transaction-based supply management with three regional delivery consortium, as you have seen in the slide. Each consortium now provides an integrated range of design, construction, maintenance, facilities management services. So look at how the water and water wastewater treatment has to be done. They need to Sydney Water has to have a task like designing the work, constructing, maintenance, and facility, and they can't do everything by themselves. So they have to engage with different entities in order to undertake this work. And the three consortium, as you can see, are called Confluence Water in the north side, consisting of a few contractors like Broad Spectrum, Downer Utilities Australia, and Jacobs. And there's another concept called Delivering for Custom, which is looking at comprising of Combine Infrastructure, John Holland, and Lend-Lease Services. And the West region is looking at few other activities on Stan's Tech, Atlas Personal Services, and Fulton Hogan, and so on. So you got to have different type of entities or contracting organization in order to supply or manage this mammoth level of work. So this model uses regional delivery consortium, a long-term partnership with multiple organizations for designing, construction, maintenance, and facility management. By sharing purchasing power and aligning incentives, Sydney Water achieve efficiency and improved customer outcomes. So this illustrates how strategic procurement can drive value beyond just cost saving. So what is the benefit of using an NEC contract as such, or it's, in this case of Sydney Water, NEC C4 contracts or global best practice for construction and infrastructure procurement. So it's already proven a method. So they bring a collaborative way of working upfront in relation with the supply chain companies, and simple contract structure reduce dispute between any parties. So that's pretty much it, how you look onto this contract and how Sydney Waters has implemented this. Please feel free to explore more on Sydney Water and the contract management of PS4 and NEC4. And if you have any questions or if you want to explore more, please join your group or come back with more questions. So the next example I want to bring is about Joint Strike Fighter program, the F-35. It's a defense project, a defense procurement project of a few F-35 from the US. So this is a global defense program with multiple levels of participation. So you need to have multiple countries. So far we have seen multiple companies, organization. Now we are looking at multiple countries. How would we procure different and how would we manage the supply chain of different countries working together in achieving the project outcomes or the program outcomes for Australia. So countries contribute financially, gain access to the technology, and the companies can bid for subcontractors. So this program demonstrates how procurement can be used as a tool for international collaboration and technology transfer and economic development as well. So what do we know about this global? It's a global procurement collaboration. So the F-35 program is one of the largest multinational defense procurement programs in the history of Australia. It uses a collaborative contracting model involving multiple partner nation, each contributing funding and sharing technology access as well. So what are the tiered partner structure? Countries kind of participating at different level. So we have level one, where in which UK is participating with US. Level two is the Italy and the Netherlands, and at level three, Australia, Canada, Norway, Denmark, Turkey, or engaging with US to procure the different technologies and the capability. Each level determines financial stake, technology transfer rights, and priority in aircraft delivery. So if you think about how they are going to develop this contracting clauses and contracting procurement with the statement of work and other aspect of what you just saw in the procurement process, those needs to be defined and agreed upon different nation. So what is the contracting complexity here? The program involves thousands of contracts, prime contract with Lockheed Martin, which will deliver the airframe, and the engine is delivered by the Pratt and Whitney company and numerous subcontractors with global suppliers. So this creates a global supply chain management method that spans continents, requiring strict contract governance and performance monitoring. So what are the risk and cost involved? Given the program size, which is kind of over than 1 trillion life cycle cost involves all the sustainment costs as well. And the procurement contract must include clear milestone, cost control measures, and performance-based payment. Government uses these mechanisms to manage schedule delays and cost overrun. The other aspect we need to look onto is the technology transfer and industry participation. Is our industry ready for managing this kind of technological advancement? So partner nations gain access to high-tech capabilities and opportunity for their domestic industry to participate. For Australia, this means local companies receive contracts to manufacturing components, creating jobs and building sovereign capability. So what are the lessons for project managers? So F35 case illustrate the importance of defining scope clearly in multinational procurements. Use phased contracting and performance incentives. So managing risk through shared governance structure. Ensure compliance with export controls and requirements, security requirements as well. So far we have summarized a procurement plan. We have outlined what is being procured, when it needs to be procured, how and for how much, and by whom. So whether you produce a detailed plan or simple schedule depends on the scale of procurement in your project. But the key is clarity. A good plan prevents surprises and keeps procurement aligned with objectives. That brings to the end of our session. We have covered the definition of procurement, procurement processes, contract elements, contracts types, legal consideration, and a few practical examples. At this point, reflect on how you might apply this principle to your own projects. What would you make a team or buy it? How would you ensure transparency and fairness in procurement? And what lessons you learned from Sydney Waters and F35 program might apply in your industry. So with that, thanks so much for your time, guys, and I hope you learned the procurement processes. If you have any question, please email it to me or email it to Jin, and we'll clarify your doubts as well. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.